Hello, my name is Madam Jennifer from Educare TZ. Welcome my lovely Form 2 students in our biology session. In our today's session, we are going to solve the question for the year 2016. Welcome. By starting with our first question is question number 4 for the year 2016. And the question stated that Figure 1 represents a diagram of a simple animal cell. Study the diagram and answer the question that follows. Figure 1 represents a diagram of a simple animal cell. Study the diagram and answer the question that follows. This is a figure 1 who has been given. This is a simple animal cell. You has been given here also the letter. There is letter A which is found in the outside. There is letter C which is found in the inside. Also there is letter B which is found within here. So you are needed to study it very, very carefully. Then after that, you have to answer the question that follow. The question Roman A, name the part labeled with the letter A, B, and C. The second one is Roman B, give the function of the part labeled C. And this Roman C, give the true difference between the animal cell and the plant cell. Give the true difference between the animal and the plant cell. Now, my lovely Form 2 students, this question is one of the very familiar topic to you. It has been derived from the topic of the cell structure and organization, especially in the concept of the eukaryotic cell, where we see that eukaryotic cells, these are the cells that have the nucleus bound membrane, meaning that the DNA and the chromosome are surrounded by the nuclear membrane. And the example, there is plant as well as the animal cell. So within the animal cell is where this question Roman A has been derived, where you are given the structure of animal cell and you are needed to label the part which has been shown in the diagram of the animal cell. And the second one, you are needed to give the function of the part labeled C. After labeling, now you can identify the part C represent what structure, and the last one you are needed to give the difference between the animal cell as well as the plant cell. So the part labeled A is a cell membrane, and the part labeled B is a cytoplasm, and the part labeled C is a nucleus. So as you see in our diagram here, A, this is the one, the outer one, this is the cell membrane. C, this is the central one, this is the nucleus. And B, this is a cytoplasm or jelly-like substance where the organisms tend to suspend on. So the second question, Roman B, needs you to give the function of the part labeled C, where the part labeled C is the nucleus. So what is the nucleus? So the nucleus, this is a spherical organelle suspended in the cytoplasm. As you see in our diagram, that the nucleus is the one that's found into the center, and it tends to be suspended within the jelly-like substance which is known as the cytoplasm. So the nucleus consists of the nucleolus as well as the fluid called the nucleoplasm, and is surrounded by the membrane called the nuclear membrane. So the function of the nucleus, this is our question of the interest. So the function of the nucleus, which are they? So the first function of the nucleus is that the nucleus determines the chemical process that take place in the cell. The nucleus determines the chemical processes that takes place in the cell. And the second one is control function of all parts of the cell. The nucleus tends to control all function or all activities of the cell. So it is, in other terms, we can say that the nucleus, this is the engine of the cell. Also, it determines the size, shape, and function. So the nucleus tends to determine size, shape, and function of a particular cell. And the last one, the nucleus, within the nucleus there is the DNA and the chromosome. These are the hereditary material. They tend to be transmitted from one person, from one organism to another, from one generation to another, for organism of the same species. So they determine the hereditary characteristics of the cell. They are the one which can introduce either to the crossing over, variation, or similarity. The last question for question Roman 4, you are needed to give the true difference between the animal and the plant cell. We know that within the eukaryotic cell, they have the similarity, meaning that once you discuss on the structure of the plant and animal cell, follow in our media in case if you have not yet study the topic of the cell structure and organization. It is a Form 1 topic. Just subscribe it so that you can get a detailed understanding in this particular topic. Once we discuss this topic of the cell structure and organization, this concept of the plant and animal cell, we see that the plant and animal cell, they tend to have the structures in common. But, example, nucleus, cytoplasm, mitochondria, cell membrane, as well as the vacuole. While in addition, once we discuss on the structure of the plant cell, we see that the plant cell has an additional structure, which is the cell wall as well as the chloroplast. While the chloroplast, the one which contains the chlorophyll, and usually found in the leaf mesophyll for maximizing the surface area for the trapping of the sunlight for the photosynthesis process. Also, the cell wall, which are made of the cellulose, which is very rigid and strongest structure, which tend to provide the plant is regular shape. So after seeing that, now let us discuss the difference existing between the plant and animal cell. So the first difference is that plant cell have cell wall, but animal cell have no cell wall. The animal cell tend to have only the cell membrane, and that's why the animal cell have irregular shape, because the cell membrane, it is flexible, so it tends to change from time to time. So that's why the animal cell tend to have the irregular shape, while the plant cell have this cell wall, which is made of the cellulose, which is very rigid and provide the plant cell is rigid structure or regular structure. Also, plant cell has chloroplast, but animal cell has no chloroplast. Animals are heterotroph. They are not capable of manufacturing their own food. So they do depend on ready-made food material, either from the plant, either from the other organism, either example herbivores, or carnivores, or insectivores. They do depend on other organism as the source of the nutrients. While this plant cell, because they are heterotroph, they do manufacture their own food, and that's why they tend to possess this chloroplast for manufacturing their own food by the use of the sunlight in the process known as the photosynthesis. Also, the plant cell have regular shape, but animal cell has irregular shape. As I've already talked on this, that the plant cell have the regular shape. This is due to the presence of this cell wall, which tend to be very rigid and provide the plant cell is regular shape, while due to the flexibility of this cell membrane, which is found only in animal cell, tend to provide the animal cell irregular shape. Also, the plant cell have permanent large vacuole, but the animal cell have small and temporary vacuole. The main function of this vacuole is for the osmoregulation. So the plant cell tend to have this and the very largest and very permanent, but the animal cell tend to have this vacuole for it's very smallest and for temporal functioning. Also, the plant cell tend to store food in form of starch, but the animal cell store food in form of glycogen. So the plant cell, they tend to store their food in form of the starch, while the animal cell, they tend to store their food in form of glycogen. Also, in plant cell, nucleus is placed in the periphery, while in animal cell, nucleus is placed in the central. Ukiangalia structure animal na plant cell, unaangalia kwamba nucleus katika plant cell yuko pembeni, lakini katika animal cell ipo at the center. So these are the main difference. So let's just one needed to give only 3 difference. Lakini izopatia an extra point you can use on an addition. Lakini make sure that you stick to the direction of the question. If you are asked to give only 3 points, make sure that you give only 3 points. So just you can choose from the provided point. So make sure that you give only the asked point on the question. And another question now is question number 5 for the year 2016. Our question stated that Roman A, define the following terms. A, laboratory. B, biology. C, botany. And question number 5, Roman B, it requires you to state the uses of the following laboratory apparatus. First one, microscope. Second one is thermometer. Third one is test tube. And the last one is test tube holder. My lovely Form 2 students, this topic has been derived from our lovely topic on the topic of the question for the Roman A, which is to state the definition of the laboratory, and this Roman B, this question has been derived from the topic of the biological laboratory. This is a Form 1 topic, is where this question has been derived. So in order to tackle this question very correctly and to ensure that to give the correct response, you are needed to have a deep understanding in this topic of the biological laboratory. Mostly welcome to search it in our Educare Media, the biology laboratory Form 1 topic, so as to widen up your understanding in case you don't have the enough knowledge pertaining this topic of the biological laboratory, so as you can attempt a variety of the topic coming from this the question coming from this particular topic. The question A Roman for the question for which needs to give the definition of the biology and botany, this has been derived from our first topic of the Form 1, which is the introduction to biology, which needs you to be aware to give the definition of the biology as well as the definition of botany. So this is all the makeup of our question. So now let us answer our question by starting with the question Roman A, which you are needed to give the definition of the provided terms, and the first one was the definition of the laboratory. Laboratory, this is one of the familiar terms to you and the familiar word to you. So the laboratory, this is a room or special building that has been specifically designed for carrying out biological or scientific experiments. So this is a special room that has been designed for performing the biological experiment or scientific experiment is known as the laboratory. So and biology, this is a branch of science that deals with the study of life. So in other words, the biology, this is a branch of science that deals with the study of living things. So tunapozungumzia biology, we study we all deal with something that possesses the life. All living things consist of the life. You can't call something is living kama haina uhai. So tunasoma ni somo la viumbe hai. Example, plants, animal, bacteria and virus. Au tuna unicellular na multicellular. Unicellular, this organism which are made up of single cell, multicellular, this organism which are made up of millions of cells. And the basic unity of the life is the cell. And botany, this is a branch. We say katika topic yetu introduction to biology, we have two main branches of biology. We have the zoology and we have the botany. The zoology, this is a branch of science that deals with the study of animals, like the members of the kingdom Animalia. We have dogs, we have people, we have human beings, we have hares, we have the reptile, we have the amphibia. These are the animals. We have the worms, we have the snail, these arachnids. Those are the animals. So this is what the zoologist deals with. And the botany, this is a branch of biology that deals with the study of the plants. Here we see within the study of the plant, this biologist, this botanist wenyewe wanakuwa deal na study of the anatomy of the angiosperm, anatomy of the plant, wanaangalia namna gani plant anakuwa na move, namna gani transport of material take place within the plant, how do plant extract its nitrogenous waste, how the plant tend to perform its regulation process. So this is all about the botany, which is a branch of the biology that deals with the study of the plant. The question Roman B for question Roman 4 need you to state the uses of the following laboratory apparatus. So it's been given the list of the laboratory apparatuses. They needed to state their uses. The first one is microscope. Microscope, we know that in biological laboratory we do perform a variety of the classification topic, dissection experiments, where within there are smallest particle, there are small plant tissues or smallest bodily organ. Example, katika practical ya kuweza kuangalia the structure katika transport of material, katika kuweza kuidentify kuweza kuangalia myocardium katika cardiac muscles, ambapo pacemaker cell, katika kuweza kuidentify that structure of the heart. But the use of this naked eyes huwezi kuangalia kwamba zile ventricles you cannot identify them, zile punctures you cannot identify the vizuri, the tricuspid valve, you cannot see them very clearly. Lakini by the use of the microscope you can dissect just a small portion of the heart, then after that unaweza ukaiplace katika microscope, katika microscopic slide, dissected one, ukaipeleka katika microscopic slide, ukaikava na cover slip, then ukaimagnify, ukaangalia the whole structure on how it look like. Kwa katika root of the plant, uwezo ukaona xylem na phloem. Hata katika shina, you can't see them. hata chloroplast you can't see, you are using your naked eyes. Lakini ukichukua the leaf of the plant ukaikata at a small section, ukaiplace katika your microscopic slide, ukaikava na cover slip and given the stain, unaweza kaangalia using the microscope, kaangalia the whole structure of the leaf, ukaona chloroplast, the mesophyll, xylem tissue, phloem tissue, spongy mesophyll, palisade layers, zote kaziona namna gani they arranged, how do they looks like. So you cannot see them without the microscope. So the main purpose of this microscope, or the main function, is for magnification, to magnify this small specimen, which all this tissue which cannot be seen by the use of our naked eyes. So microscope, this is an instrument that is used during the scientific studies to magnify very small specimens so that the details can be seen. And example, so this is the main function, to magnify very small specimen so that their detail can be seen. So example is smallest structure of the cell, tissue, and organs of organism can be studied well if magnified by microscope. And this is the structure of the microscope. This is structure of the light microscope. Inatumika mashuleni na vile vile hospitalini ukienda inakuwa inatumia katika kuweza, either umeambiwa leta sample ya mkojo, leta sample ya damu, leta sample ya stool. So wanatumia hii hapo katika kuweza kuangalia what is being contained there, kama maybe affected either by the malaria parasite, kama this schistosoma species, kama be affected by salmonella, shingella species, and so forth. So these are the main function kwa ajili ya magnification. The second one is test tube. The test tube, this is a clear cylindrical glass container that is open at the top and rounded at the bottom. Tumeuliza tuweze kuprovide the function of the test tube. So the function of the test tube now is to hold chemicals and sometimes use it to heat substance over a short period of time. So ina two main function. Katika kuweza kuhold chemicals, kwa mfano perform your food test practicals, unatumia test tube katika kuweza kuplace your sample by using the given, kwa mfano ambia 2 ml ya starch solution, 2 ml of hydrochloric, of Sudan 3, of iodine, and so forth, POP, example dose of POP, unakuwa na ziada katika test tube after there kwa ajili ya kuweza kuobserve the changes au kuweza kuperform the heating. So the main function ni katika kuholding the chemicals na vile vile katika heating substance of a short period of time. And this is the structure of the test tube. Unakuwa in case kama unakuwa unafanya heating, unakuwa unatumia the test tube holder katika kuweza kuiplace katika heating kwa ajili ya experiment. Nyingine ni test tube holder. Test tube holder, this is instrument used to hold the test tube during the heating. So hapo kwa mfano kwa unafanya heating, tumeona kwamba test tube kazi yake ni katika kuholding substance na vile vile katika heating. Kwa katika heating tunatumia hapa test tube holder kuweza kuhold that test tube kwa ajili ya kuweza kuperform the heating experiment. So this was all about the question number 5 for the year 2016. So, my lovely Form 2 students, and there is another instrument here which I've forgotten to mention here. This is a thermometer. The thermometer, tunajua kazi ya thermometer ni katika kupima joto. Mainly tunatumia sana katika maabara, kwa mfano katika practicals which involve the heating. Practice ambayo inakuwa ina involve heating, kwa mfano unaweza kuambia kwamba heat mpaka katika temperature fulani, temperature 70, temperature ya 60. So the main function ya thermometer ni katika kuweza kupima the temperature during the performing of the biological experiment. So the main function ya thermometer ni katika kuweza kupima the temperature during the performing of the biological experiment. So my lovely Form 2 students, up to there, that mark the end of today's session. Hope that you have enjoyed the lesson. In case kama hujasubscribe our media, you are mostly welcome to subscribe it, na ili uweze kupata detailed understanding katika this biological apparatuses which are used in the laboratory. Nimeweza kuzielezea in details in our topic of the biological laboratory. Nimeweza kuelezea the variety of the apparatuses, their uses, on how they look like, so that you can familiarize yourself, because you are performing the biological experiment, you are scientific. Kuna vile vile chemistry experiment, kuna baadhi ya apparatus ambazo ni common natumika katika biological experiment pamoja na katika chemistry experiment. So you have to be familiar with them. Whenever utakapoziona utaweza kujua that one That one, this is a test tube, kazi yake ni hiki hapa. Hii hapa ni beaker, kazi yake ni hii hapa. This is measuring cylinder. Hii hapa ni dropper. Hii hapa ni thermometer. Hii hapa ni microscope. I have taught a lot. Kwa mfano kama microscope, on how to care for the microscope, on how to use the microscope in the laboratories, kuweza kuensure kwamba this microscope is very very expensive to buy it, so it need a care to use it, so to ensure that you keep it safe. So for further details, just subscribe our media of Educare for further learning. Katika hii topic yetu, you are going to see a variety and detailed information pertaining the topic of the biological laboratory. So stay connected to Educare. In case of any misconception, misunderstanding, you don't hesitate to write it in the comment section so that you can make a cross check on, then give a follow up for your concern. I love you, my lovely Form 2 students. Please stay on connected and stay on subscribing, comments, and like in our media. Have a nice moment.